some of your time today. We'd love to do that. Welcome to the informational webinar about our Emerging Professionals program. This is about our second cohort. We will kind of clarify the process, the intentions of the program, and then we'll also hear from both a student that's involved in the process as well as a partner org that is involved as well. Is Nick on the call? Not yet. Savannah, if maybe you want to shoot Nick a text, that way we can make sure he gets on. Cool. So I'll go ahead and start. You can see my screen, right? Shake heads. Yes. Okay, great. So first of all, what is Homegrown Hillsborough? The more we say it, the more we'll get used to saying it. We are a peer-to-peer learning network with the mission to grow a strong food system. And I think that this program is one of our kind of most authentic ways to show our peer-to-peer learning. By partnering emerging professionals, students, interns, things like that with partners, you are really engaging in very active peer-to-peer learning. We value accessibility, community well-being, choice, education, and stewardship. Once again, I feel like this program really embodies both the educational aspect as well as the accessibility and the stewardship. And then lastly, our vision is an integrated food system that is diverse, reliable, and creates opportunity for active participation. So what is the Emerging Professional Program? The context, like the reason why we thought this program would be useful, is because we have a lot of work to do if we want to transform our food system. We know that food system work happens at the systems level and that individual actions only go so far. And so we really need to make sure that we are creating a network of members who are trained and ready and confident, so that way we can continue this work until it is done, which who knows what that looks like or what that even means. We all know that many hands make light work. So you all engage in really hard work all the time, whether that is actual hard work of farming or whether that is the hard work of nutrition education or fundraising or program planning. We know that when we are surrounded with others who are also engaged in this work, that it makes us feel lighter and it makes us feel more able to accomplish the work that we set out to do. Good leaders take succession planning very seriously and they work to build a bench, so that way their hard work isn't solely dependent on them. So something that I look for in leadership is, are they turning around and passing the ladder back behind them? So basically, if someone has gotten to a place of leadership, it is useful to them and to their organization and their legacy to make sure that somebody else is coming up behind them. And so having an emerging professional program allows a very deliberate and intentional approach to that approach or to that work. And then food system work is kind of new and emerging. Obviously, agriculture and food production is like one of the oldest games in the book. But this new approach, this new food systems approach, this community development, economic development, this is a little new. In the last 10 years, we've really seen it kind of skyrocket with urban agriculture and the campaigns for local food and things like that. And so when you say food systems, it can mean a lot of things to a lot of people, which ultimately makes it a little harder to bring people in. So the application, what we kind of saw, like, okay, so, the context provides like the general theory of what we're doing, but the actual application. So many of our partner organizations can benefit from professional project-oriented tasks. So an emerging professional shouldn't be an administrative assistant who is coming in and kind of dealing with whatever the day brings. An emerging professional should have a specific goal in mind. And when we hear from Rowan later, we'll hear about their experience with that and how their program has allowed them to have a specific end goal. And so as a partner org, you probably have some project-based tasks that you could delegate to somebody else. And so that is kind of what we're looking for in this program. It's not hey, come out to, the office and let me just kind of like forward you emails that I don't want to respond to. It's more of like, hey, we really want to make this garden bed ADA accessible. How can we get that done within the context of this time frame? And here are some resources. Here's some starting points. Let's go make this our goal. Um, Students are eager to get involved in the work, but they do need instructions and guidance. And so it is very much up to the partner orgs to manage their EPs. And so that does take overhead and oversight. It does take a little bit of administrative work, but I think that the juice is worth the squeeze. The few hours a week that you have kind of providing this guidance, providing this feedback, providing this mentorship can ultimately get you many, many, many hours of work that you were unable to do, or that you have somebody else do to once again expand that capacity, get someone more fluent in the language of your organization or the food system at a whole. And students benefit from understanding the larger picture while working on a specific task. And that last bullet point is really what we believe Homegrown Hillsborough brings into this. You all, as partner orgs, you could go out and get an intern yourself without Homegrown Hillsborough. What we are trying to do is create another layer of accountability, and more importantly, these cohorts where these students can learn from each other. And instead of kind of being involved in their very specific work, they can learn what others are doing and say, oh, I can see how our organizations complement each other or partner, or things like that. And so Homegrown Hillsborough is really trying to bring in this systems point of view, in order to allow and provide context for some of these individual programs. So, what is an intern? And I'm using the term intern and emerging professional kind of interchangeably. We decided to use the term emerging professional because we see this as more than just an internship program. What we're really hoping to do is create solid relationships with people that are genuinely interested in careers in the food system. So, not just students that want to satisfy their internship requirements and move on to the next thing, but actually students who are really interested in learning about the food system and how current orgs are operating. So that way they can contribute their talents and their assets to move the ball forward. So interns, or EPs, are typically students or recent graduates who work for a limited time at an organization to gain practical experience in a specific field. Internships are often part of a student's academic program or a way for individuals to explore career options and build skills. So once again, this, an intern EP is not somebody who can do the work you don't want to do. They're not somebody who is managing your calendar or, scheduling appointments for you. They are somebody who wants to emerge as a greater professional than when they entered. And so that means that they should be doing something that is challenging, but also achievable. It means that they should try to relate the task to what they are studying or learning, and they should be trying to draw these connections between the work that they're doing in school and the work that they're doing with your organization. And ultimately that it is getting them closer to a career, or career development. The difference between interns and volunteers. Interns usually make longer commitments to an organization. I'm sure that we all have some volunteers that have been, many, many year volunteers, but for the most part, volunteers can be kind of short lived. An intern is making a commitment. We require our interns, our EPs through this program to make a full year commitment. So starting in the fall semester in August and going all the way through May. So that way there is time for them to get to know your organization and your leadership style very intimately and know how to ultimately, provide the service that they're trying to provide. Volunteers generally only make commitments for a day or a shift. Like I said, I'm sure we all know volunteers that come back, but usually a volunteer is for, 12 to 4 p.m. a Saturday, and that's it. Who knows if they'll come back. Interns, when you are entering this internship or this EP program, you're making a commitment to a longer term project. Interns can be paid, and we'll talk a little bit about what how we are navigating paying interns. This is our second cohort, or this will be our second cohort, and so we are also kind of having some lessons learned from the first one. And what we found very quickly was that unpaid EPs basically don't last, and that's just kind of how it goes. And we don't need to dive too much into it or criticize it, and we all understand you want to get paid, you have work value. So we are working with USF to pay these students ultimately. Volunteers are largely unpaid. Interns are looking for skill development and professional development. So like I said, the task that they are assigned should be something that they can do, that's feasible, but it does challenge them. They should grow through this process. They should come out on the other end of this program with a new skill set that they have kind of honed in over the last year. Volunteers are generally looking for easy tasks to complete without much training. So when you think of like a volunteer coming out to your site, you're saying, can you go bag those leaves? Can you go take that over there? Can you go paint this shed? And an EP would be something like, can you create a toolkit for our volunteers that can allow them to, learn the tasks before they arrive? Or can you look into various grants that could satisfy one of the goals that we want to accomplish here in the org? So, what is Homegrown Hillsborough's role in this? Largely, we are facilitating the recruitment process to target students that are interested in food system work. We are coordinating the potential for paid opportunities at no cost to you or your organization by working with USF administration, and I'll talk about that in just a few seconds. We're providing training on Food Systems 101, so that way we can set a baseline understanding for the students to better understand the context that they'll work within. And we're providing an additional layer of accountability for students by creating structured programs and offering student leadership opportunities through site visits, reciprocal visits, and also through the annual conference. And then lastly, we host a graduation for students to present their work to a larger audience and to practice public speaking, and ultimately to kind of show off the work that they were able to accomplish. So, and then lastly, evaluation to improve the process for future cohorts and to develop students or provide feedback to students as well as mentors. So, to talk about how it is paid. So we have a relationship with the Federal Work Study Department at USF. And so for those of you that are not familiar with how Federal Work Study works, ultimately students that are eligible through generally like income or other qualifications can participate in something called Federal Work Study, where they can basically pick how they want to engage in an internship. And the federal government, Federal Work Study, ultimately pays them a stipend to complete that. And so that is coordinated through the university system. And so for you and your org, you don't have to worry about taking money out of your budget, but you will have ultimately a paid student who is getting paid through these Federal Work Study dollars. The dollars do range depending on the student and depending on the income need and various things like that. I'm a little unsure of how that formula is created, but ultimately students kind of know the max amount that they are allowed to go and earn. And so generally I think it's like $15 an hour, and then the hours range. And so that is kind of like a case by case situation. But I think that maybe it's a minimum of 10 hours, but largely what we've seen is between 10 and 20 hours a week at that $15 an hour wage. Once again, that's not coming out of your pocket. That is coming through the Federal Work Study program. What Homegrown Hillsborough is doing is being this connector between Homegrown Hillsborough Partners and this Federal Work Study program. So what is required of you as a partner org? So you will be creating a job description that we will review and will provide potential matches at a speed networking event. So we'll go over the timeline and this will kind of become a little more clear. But ultimately, your first deliverable, if you are interested in going through with this program, is to create a job description. And like I said, that job description shouldn't just be executive assistant. It should be the fundraising intern, social media intern, new and beginning farmer apprentice, something that is skills oriented, project oriented, something that an intern can do within those 2 semesters, and be able to complete, but also be able to challenge them and to help support your organization. So you'll be creating a job description for that. You have to maintain a meaningful relationship with your EP throughout the duration of the year, which means regular meetings, quality guidance and feedback, mentorship, and networking opportunities. So we really want you to see this person as an extension of your org. One of the differences between volunteers and interns is that volunteers, they are kind of icing on the cake, or I guess cherry on top of the icing. They're not necessarily always a representative of your organization. They are people that come and support you. But the amount of professional development that you pour into them versus an intern are different. So we want you to imagine your intern or your emerging professional as kind of a staff member, as somebody who represents your org, and you want to train up and bring them into your organization as a weight bearing contributor. And so that means that you owe them that leadership. It means that you owe them regular meetings, whether that is weekly or biweekly. That means that you owe them the time to review their work and give them feedback. That means that you owe them opportunities to help strengthen their professional development. So if you see a webinar that might be relevant to them, if you see a local conference that might be relevant to them, to share those opportunities with them, and to say, hey, I've seen that you really have grown very interested in integrated pest management. Did you know that there is this class going on? As somebody who's been involved in this work, you have a lot of knowledge and experience that they don't, and so you should be trying to pour that knowledge and experience into them. Attending the graduation ceremony at the end of the year. So this is kind of where it all comes together, and you get to see your intern shine and get to talk about the work they've done with you, and then submitting evaluations when requested. And then also joining the platform, which if I think all of you probably are on the platform. If you're not, then we can get you familiar with it. But ultimately, there will be a private group of both, I think, the partners and the students. This year, we only had the students in it, but I think next year we'll probably add the partners as well. And this will make it so that we can share events and opportunities and things like that. So paid versus unpaid. This year, we're making the decision to basically not really facilitate unpaid programs. And this is what we learned from our first cohort, was that, very quickly, the first week or two, both of our unpaid students immediately bailed. And that is because they realized that their workload with their school commitment versus all these things. And even though they had told us throughout the process that wasn't going to be an issue, ultimately it was. So we really are just sticking to paid students. So once again, tapping into that federal work study program is how ultimately these students will get paid. If you are assigned a federal work study student, you'll be required to complete any relevant forms and submit any time cards that are requested. And ultimately, paid students, we believe, can be held to a higher standard because this is their job, versus a gift they are giving to you. And students may be looking for 20 hours of work, which would impact your project planning. So make sure that you have work for them. And work can also be kind of continuing education. So I'm sure you all can think of lots of work that they can do, but you can also encourage them to watch a webinar, go through a training, things like that, while being paid through their federal work study dollars as a way to support their internship and their professional development. So the application details. So we are going to facilitate 10 partner orgs and matches. So ultimately, I think this year, I think we have either 6 students. We're looking to increase that to 10. And so 10 partners and 10 EPs. Um, the way that we're going to kind of do this is the first 10 that have complete job descriptions that are approved by our staff, by me, Savannah, and Dahlia, will be accepted. So we're going to launch those today. I don't imagine there will be a super quick scramble, but if this is something you're interested in, then you should take it seriously and in the next week or so really start thinking of what this job description looks like, looking at your calendar ahead, making sure that you're available in the fall and the spring of next year, and start working on that. We'll be doing a rolling acceptance, which basically means like kind of first come first serve, and you'll send us your job description. We'll review it. If we see like pretty big glaring issues, we'll set some time to talk with you or provide you feedback and give you the opportunity to strengthen that and submit it. But ultimately, the first 10 people across the finish line will be the organizations that we're going to go with. The application link is going to be posted on the platform as an announcement. So the announcements are kind of a new feature on the platform. So I did take a screenshot and you can see it over here. Right now, there's one for a save the date. And then underneath it, I put the EP materials will go here. That's not posted on the platform yet, but it will be.
It is now.
Yes. Oh,
I
great.
posted
It is
it.
now. So, yeah. So off to the races. And so you'll see when you log onto the platform on that main page that the link to apply for this will be there. We're also going to post them in this event. So the event on Mobilize, you can always access past events, and the materials will be there as well. So how you do that is on events on the top of the platform, you'll just go over and it defaults to upcoming, but you will go ahead and make it to past. You'll find this event and the link will be there. So there's 2 places for you to find the materials to apply for this. One is the announcements on the side, and then the other is on this event, which will be in past events. Um, if you need help creating a job description, we have materials that we provided to the first cohort that you should utilize. We have a template, we have a little worksheet to kind of help you flush out the things that you might be interested in. And so you can spend some time kind of brainstorming that. And yeah, we have a worksheet to kind of help, brainstorm what that job could look like. Um, and then we'll talk about the timeline to get to August 7th, but in between August 7th and August 24th, the new cohort of EPs are going to be required to complete the Food System Foundations and Homegrown Hillsborough Foundation modules, which are on the online platform. So they'll kind of come in with primed and ready to understand like the basic food system concepts. So let's talk about timeline. So today, Friday, March 28th, beautiful day, is the informational webinar. It also is when applications are open. And so we will be evaluating these on a rolling basis and providing feedback as fast as we can. And we'll close it when 10 partners have been accepted into the program, or if we get to July 3rd, then that's when we'll close it. So we hope we have 10. And if we, we'll try to communicate, 5 people have been accepted. That means we still have 5 more left. And if you're curious to see, if we haven't made any announcements, you can always reach out to us and we'll give you that number. But yeah, so there is time. It's not necessarily a drop everything you're doing right now to get this done, but if it's something that you do want to participate in next semester, then you should kind of, take it up to the top of your priority list. So that way you can work on it over the next coming weeks and make sure that you get into one of those 10 spots. Then on Friday, July 24th, so I know it's, end of March now, it seems so crazy far away, but we all know it'll be here very, very soon. Students will receive the job descriptions and they'll select the organizations to interview with. And so we're going to compile the 10, put them in a place for students to go and look at, and then we'll ask them to pick, we're not exactly sure how many, but it won't be all 10. They will be kind of ranking the ones that they are most interested in. Then on Friday, July 31st, we are looking into different speed networking software programs. And so we're going to have a virtual speed networking event. And so, based on what I've seen on my preliminary research, there are ways to have, an audience of students and then an audience of orgs. Those students can rank which orgs they want to interview with, and then that way you'll be interviewing with the students that are interested in working for you. Um, we're anticipating that it'll each partner org will interview between 3 and 5 students. Of course, if you have a job description that just doesn't unfortunately speak to any of our students, we'll let you know about that. There are some other ways that we can kind of facilitate that, but at the end of the day, we're not sure exactly what the students are. We did last year have students that were interested in basically all of the jobs. So, um, and then on Friday, August 7th, so 1 week after the virtual speed networking event, the final matches will be made and offer letters will be signed and received. Students will be required to join the Homegrown Hillsborough platform if they're not already on it, and complete both the foundation, the food system foundations, as well as the Homegrown Hillsborough Foundation classes before the social. The social is going to be an in-person event on Friday, August 21st, which that is just simply going to be a time to get together, introduce yourself, and really have time to just the students will meet other students in their cohort. And then the partner orgs can also meet other, partner orgs that are participating. And so one of the pieces of feedback that we got from this cohort was that they really did wish that there was more time to kind of, just socialize together. And so we want to kind of kick off with that this time. And so, the date will be, or the date, the location will be, finalized as we kind of get through the summer. But this will be an in-person kickoff, probably some kind of, um, late afternoon, situation. And then on Friday, September 11th, we're going to have an in-person food system training day. This will probably be some pretty cool field trips to different sites and food system activities around the county. And we depending on logistics, partners will be invited, or maybe we'll even be participating in a tour at your destination, depending on what that looks like. So, really over the summer, we want to have these job applications published so that way students can look at them, get interested in them, plan to attend that speed networking event. The speed networking event you'll get very, very close to identifying a match. We'll quickly finalize those matches, send out those kind of final match updates, and then students will be responsible for in between getting matched and coming back to school at the end of August to do those foundational classes. We'll celebrate the kickoff with a social. And then from there, Homegrown Hillsborough will largely step back and you will step in and become the main organizer for this program for your individual student. Evaluations are a really important part of this program because it allows us to make it better and to make it impactful. We never want to waste anyone's time, and so if people don't feel that this is a good use of their time, then we don't want to continue it. If they think that it can be a better use by adding a certain element, by providing more context, things like that, then we want to work to make that a success. And so we're going to quickly hear from one of our students engaged in the program right now, Rowan Wells. They'll talk about their experience so far and some of the things that they have, participated in. And largely, Rowan, I would love to hear from you about, your perspective on the program so far and, what, if any, value you think Homegrown Hillsborough has provided and whether you think that this is something that other students should look into. So I'll go on mute and let you kick it off.
Okay, thank you. Hi, my name's Rowan. I'm an intern or an emerging professional under the Hillsborough County Solid Waste Department. I work under Daniel Gallagher. And it has just really been a transformative experience, honestly, the past 6 months. I feel like I've made so many connections within the department, but also Danny has just really helped me connect with like other connected organizations, like all the things you were saying earlier, Monica, about like what um, ideally like the supervisor should be doing. Literally, he has done all of it. I feel like he's very concerned with my experience in the program, like constantly checking to make sure that I'm doing well in my projects, primarily, which is the food waste prevention guide that I've been working on. That was always like, that was the main objective that was presented at the interviews that I found really interesting. I'm a criminology major though, so he also has found ways to like include legislative research and like municipal like different like mandated commercial recycling and things like that. I've made different drafts and things because um he just like I've just expressed my interest to him and he has adapted county needs accordingly. Like he's like, well, I've had this thought for a while and whatever. So I have had a lot of varied tasks, but they've all kind of been centered around the same theme of food waste prevention, community outreach, and education and things like that. And it really has changed my outlook on my like for my career. I feel like I've been very scattered up until this point. So it's given me a lot of direction and been super valuable to me. And I think, especially when with Homegrown Hillsborough specifically, like the site visits that have been facilitated and the conference, especially in December, seeing that there's like a community out there that like I can tap into and that now I have access to through my like emailing correspondence with them and also just through being able to literally meet them and talk with them at these different events has been super important and made it feel a lot more accessible. I feel like approaching graduation can be very intimidating and I feel like a lot of people feel very lost, but I feel pretty confident that if I were to continue on this path like I hope to, that I would have resources available to me and people that are willing to help me out. So yeah, it's been a really great experience. And I'm sad that I think I'm going to continue through the summer, but it's still ending relatively soon. So that's it's always sad. But yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that. And I don't think that students always feel sad when an internship's coming to a close. So I think that speaks a lot
Yeah.
about the quality of your program and your supervisor. So that's great to hear. Thank you. And then you mentioned the site visits, which is something that I think is really cool because when you get to go to an office and you do interact with the community, but when you get to go and see what other students are doing, you kind of start to connect those dots. And you mentioned that those are valuable. So, I'm glad to hear that. Cool. And then, so Rowan is a student that's gone through it, but we'd also love to hear from Nick, who has been a supervisor and been a mentor to a student of his own. So, Nick, if you want to come on and tell us about that experience, we'd love to hear it. Oh, you're kind
I'll
of
take
breaking
that
up.
as
I
a
don't.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
Can
try
you hear me?
again. Yes. Okay, now we can.
Can everyone hear me? Lovely. Good to see everybody. Hi, everyone. My name is Nick Ewing with Artistry Gardens. Today I'm inside of the Well-Fed Community Mobile Kitchen today, prepping for some work at Root Awakening Farms. Getting ready to get the team moving with all that we have for the menu today and tying that into the relationship for my intern from this Emerging Professionals program. Uh, Kind of the common bond, the bridge between myself and my intern. She is a wonderfully characteristic human being with an appetite for just new experiences and food and relationships to the soil and how it all ties into.
Nick, we're kind of losing you. You said you're in the mobile kitchen. Is there a chance you can step out? Oh, we've lost him. Oh, are you still there, Nick? Yeah, Gage, it cut out for me as well. So, and maybe we've lost him completely. Oh no, there he is again. Nick, can you hear us?
Can everyone still hear me by chance?
Barely. Did you say you're in the mobile kitchen? Could you step out of that
I
possibly?
can't.
Yeah, we can't really hear you. Hmm. Is Justine on the call? Okay, now we can see you. Yeah.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better now.
I stepped outside of the trailer. I'm so sorry about that, y'all.
Yeah, much better.
Wonderful. Monica, best to redo, or I don't know where it last cut off for everyone.
You were beginning to talk about how Justine is just very excited to learn, and yeah, so go from there.
In kind of in a wonderful way of also showing off the farm and where we're at. She's been able to gain an understanding of what are some really awesome ways and how the biology of the soil and how all the elements of food waste and composting has a huge cyclical, systematic, regenerative circle to it. And we've been able to go through the seasons each month and through the course of the days, learning why different produce is the way it is and why seasons are so important to obviously the food system. And with her particular lessons within her department, she's working with the biology department and all of her new classes. Each new what am I trying to think of the word here? Um, Holy mackerel! When you go into a new set of not graduate, but when you go to the next, someone help me out here. Anyway, with your new
Semester.
class, yeah,
Semester.
thank you. Semester. I don't know why that word was just unavailable in my brain. And so each semester, being able to tie in what she's learning within her schooling has been exciting for me because I get a chance to say this is why and how we can relate it to the work that she's doing. She's helping. Not only is she learning about urban agriculture from like a large scale garden and farm element, but every time that she comes by the garden, we get a chance to have her take some stuff back home to her apartment over at Avalon Heights across from USF. We're doing some studies on how is certain stuff growing in there, what is doing really well, sun coverage, etc. So she's getting firsthand experience when she's here and taking that off site. And she's had the opportunity of working with some other partner associates of mine, like Renewable and a mixture of other different people within the community. And so it's really opened her up to an understanding that food production and biology is extremely similar and natural to the human experience, and being able to try to live a better, peaceful, wonderful, educated life out of it. So we've been having a lot of fun, and it's really exciting to see her learn what is the best way to work through the garden and work through problems. I think that's probably my favorite thing, is watching her realize there's an achievement or a success or a roadblock or a hurdle, and watching her kind of get through it has been something that as a teacher and as an educator, it really brings a lot of love to the heart of just like watching them. You don't want them to make a mistake, and so trying to be able to give them the hints and tips and tricks has been very fun and very enlightening for myself. So it's been a communicative exchange and a relationship of just being able to share and be very open and understanding with one another, and realizing that being great takes making mistakes. And that's probably one of my biggest takeaways from working with Justine, is on my own self and with her, being able to develop not just like personal inner relationships, but like business relationships, and how all of that's just naturally based. And it's been a lot of fun. I hope I'm not over monologuing, but the
No,
program so
but I
far has
have
been.
a question for you before we move on. What have you learned as a leader, as a supervisor, as a mentor to Justine? Like, what are some things that that you have learned through this process?
Patience. I have learned, just like the garden teaches us all patience, to recognize that working with someone who has little or less of an understanding of what you immerse your entire days in is going to take a while to get to the point of realizing it to the same speed that myself as an educator is at. And I still always have so much to learn, and that's probably the other big takeaway, is that as much as she's learning, I'm learning better communication styles, better time management, better communications for not just emails, not just introductions, not just business. But it's fun because like the last example of story I'll share is that every time I get to tell people who she is and where she's from and why she's here, people's eyes light up, and it just is so. I think there's a really, really wonderful thing about having people be recognized. So recognition as a whole, being able to say, yeah, this is Justine Levy, originally from Jamaica, here in Tampa, studying at USF, being able to do all this stuff. And she's able to start saying, yeah, I've helped composted hundreds of pounds of food and grown hundreds of pounds of food and all this different stuff. And it just being able to communicate who someone is, what they are, what they do is really effective in bridging connections in the community. And I think that's probably been the biggest takeaway is learning how to bridge communication and patience all together to hopefully educate. And as I like to say, to pollinate people to be better. So, yeah, thank you for asking, Monica.
Great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for taking time, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Cool. So, at this point, we really just want to open the floor for questions and see what kind of things are on your mind, or if you have any questions about next steps or what to expect. Like I said, luckily we do have some time. That was one of the things that we learned from last year, was that we kind of had to cram this all into like August, basically, of last year. And so this year we're trying to give a lot of time so that way partners can develop really strong job descriptions. And then also it allows those job descriptions to be published in a timely manner so that students over the summer looking for internships have a higher chance of seeing them and applying for them. So at this point, we'd really love to open the floor for any questions and see what we can answer.
I'd also want to add, I don't think I can raise my hand on here because I'm the host. I realized that earlier. That I don't think you mentioned this, Monica, if you have funding to pay an intern, that's great too. We don't have to use work study, but if you happen to have funding, great. We just know most people don't. So don't think that cuts you out. And then there was also a question in the chat about Josephine said, I no longer live in Hillsborough County. Can I still participate?
Do you serve Hillsborough County? Like, does your organization operate in Hillsborough County? For Josephine? Well, I guess I can just answer that. Your organization has to serve Hillsborough County residents. And so if you don't live here, but the work you do, there's Josephine, you can answer. Oh, sorry. Are you speaking? We can't hear you, Josephine. No, now you're. Yeah, unfortunately, we can't hear you. It seems like maybe there's a mic issue. You can type it in the chat if that's an option available to you, or shake your head even. So if your organization serves Hillsborough County residents, then that is eligible. But you can't hear us? Can other people hear me? Okay, yeah. Well, Josephine, what we can do is you can just send us an email and we can kind of talk about it one-on-one. All right. Any other questions? I don't have a business, just interested in the program. Okay. Well, so I guess I'll clarify that. This program is for existing or even emerging programs, but somebody that is an established okay, so I guess maybe I should clarify this. This informational webinar was more for the partner organizations and not necessarily for the students who are applying. So because we posted it on the platform, this is for people that are engaged in work already. And so if you are a student or an emerging professional that is interested in taking part in an internship, that's kind of a different audience. And if that is the case, if you are not part of the federal work study through USF, so if you're not an active student at USF, I would encourage you to utilize the partner platform and say that you're looking for an internship or a long-term volunteer commitment. But ultimately, this specific program is largely connecting USF students who receive federal work study dollars to Homegrown Hillsborough partners that are looking to have an intern.
Okay.
Oh, I heard you that time. Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you. This may not be within the scope of your discussion, but I've been on trips watching the compost things, and planting and stuff like that. So I started planting my own stuff at home in pots, like growing pineapples and things like that. So I'm looking to maybe find out more about the program to see if Hillsborough, I recently moved from Hillsborough, so if they offer it, I'm in Kissimmee now, if they're offering it, or if there's other links or other organizations out here in the Kissimmee, Orlando area that I can hook up with. So,
If you want to go ahead and send me an email, I can try to get your contact to a contact in Kissimmee. That could help.
oh, okay. And through the same link that I got my notification
Yeah,
about the
probably that.
invitation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Cool. All right, Kim, I see your question. Is there a minimum or a maximum number of hours? There definitely is a maximum. And then Savannah, can you kind of talk about the hours with this federal work study?
So with federal work study, the students are like allotted a certain amount of money per semester. So they usually do want to earn all of the hours. So most students do want to work 20 hours every week. If they have like a lower award, then they would work less. But typically they really want, I would say between 10 and 20 hours is really the minimum, but most students do want to get that 20 hours so that they can get their full benefits from the work study award.
Thank you. Love the heart. Any other questions? Okay, great. And we did record this, so we'll get it posted on our YouTube, and then we'll those links have already been posted on the platform. And then if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me or Savannah, and we will try to answer them. But otherwise, we hope that you will consider applying. We're really proud of our first cohort, and we think that this will be a meaningful program that we're hoping to continue to develop. So lots of work to get done, and we'll have to do it together. All right, everybody, have a great weekend, and thank you for spending your Friday with us.
You're
Thanks.
awesome, Monica. Thanks for making it happen. Thank you, Savannah. Thanks, team. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
Bye.